It's life-altering. This disease completely kidnaps your child right in front of your eyes.
It was really hard to see your older brother go from like a fun, loving, and caring person to just somebody that, didn't even know how to take care of himself anymore. But it was hard, for sure.
Around junior high, I started experiencing times of just really depression and anxiety, just a little bit, just didn't really know what it was. And going into high school, it started getting a lot worse, and it got to the point where I would kind of seclude myself from my friends and just started like being all to myself and not really enjoying life.
Your kid's not crazy. I knew Cameron wasn't crazy. You knew Cameron. Was he crazy? No. PAN stands for Pediatric Acute Onset of Neuropsychiatric Symptom, which in layman's terms means that it causes psychiatric issues, episodes with the child or adult that is actually inflicted with this disorder. Things got so severe with Cameron, I asked God, I said, God, you're going to have to help me save my son because he's dying right in front of my eyes. So it was in the middle of the night. I was actually in prayer, and I actually reached over on my nightstand and grabbed my cell phone, and Facebook was open on my cell phone. So I picked it up and I was looking at it, and it happened to be on this article about PANS and Pandas. Full article, already loaded on my phone. I started reading all this that this little girl had, and she was from Chicago. And every symptom that she had was almost mirror image of what Cameron was dealing with and the symptoms and the signs that he was having. So that next morning, I took the information from the article to our primary care doctor and asked him, I said, look, all these years we've been trying to figure out what was wrong with Cameron. I said, I think I found it. I said, I need you to help me figure out how to test for this disorder. And he looked at me and says, I've never even heard of this before. When Cameron first got sick, his first symptoms were depression. The depression morphed into different things. He started having OCD tendencies. That's where he would actually go through his bedroom door and open and shut the door over 1,000 times in one episode. It got so severe that we actually had to take the door off the hinge and take his door and put it in the garage. Things like that was major for Cameron. His anxiety got so severe, I couldn't leave the room without him knowing exactly where I was going, what I was actually going to do, how long I was going to be, and if it didn't go according to plan, that specifically how step by step that I told him what I was going to be doing, if I went out of my routine and done something differently, it would throw him into a psych episode to where he would yell and scream uncontrollably. This is something that he could not control.
All my friends actually, and all my mom's friends and everybody would just kept on asking me like, how's your brother doing? What's wrong? Can we do anything? And I always had the same answer. I'm just like, I don't know. Because I didn't know. More
so family, the inside family realized something was, really off. Something wasn't right. We actually had Cameron go, and before we even knew what we were dealing with, go and stay with Jason's mother for a couple of days, maybe thinking, maybe just a change of scenery would help, click something in his brain. We didn't understand why he was so depressed, why he was just continually just withdrawing from life.
After school, I'd just come straight home and just completely not do anything, just lay in my bed, and just do nothing because, I just didn't want to do anything else,
He got really bad. And he would have days he wouldn't move, he wouldn't talk to anybody, he wouldn't do anything. And so it just kept getting worse and worse, and we had no clue what to do.
He started withdrawing from friends, from family.
Sports,
school. He would text me from class and say, I'm not going to make it. I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be here. Things got bad quick. This lingered on for years. We would take him back and forth to the doctor, trying to figure out what was wrong with him. They'd put him on antidepressant after antidepressant. It got so bad to where they would put him on antipsychotics after another antipsychotic. It was a vicious cycle. Nothing worked for Cameron. Kind of jump ahead to this past year, things got extremely bad. Cameron got to the point to where he would actually go catatonic. He would lay in his bed for days on end.
No food, no drink.
Food, no water, not even going to the bathroom. It got so severe we actually had nurses come in to do vitals on him in our home to make sure that he was okay, because we didn't want to have to take him back to the hospital, because we knew what they would do. They were just going to dope him up and put him in the corner, and that was our experiences with 2 different mental hospitals that we actually had taken him to. I went home, started Googling information on Pandas, and come across Molecular Labs in Oklahoma. And Molecular Labs does what they call a Cunningham panel. This panel breaks down the blood that they actually draw into 5 different categories. It tests for the anti-tubulin, dopamines levels, cam kinase. I mean, these are all different levels that this actually tests. We actually sent that off. We got his results back within 4.5 weeks. And when they called me and told me that his was positive, he had 3 of the 5 markers were just off the charts. And they called me and they said, yes, this is what he has. I asked him, I said, this is what he has. What do I do? Nobody in Arkansas knows anything about this. I mean, we've called, we've tried to get people to help us. We've got turned away. What do I do? We met Dr. Kovacevic on a Wednesday morning in his office, and the evaluation and things that he done on Cameron, he said yes. He said he's got to have IVIG treatments. Can y'all stay and do treatments? And we said yes, we're not going anywhere.
When I found out of what I had, and I knew I had something that I could fight, and that there was something wrong, and it wasn't just me. It just kind of gave me. I felt like I had a chance, to get better. That I wasn't just fighting something I didn't know was there.
I mean, I was happy to find out that we had a diagnosis, but I don't know. It just never clicked in my mind that it was actually something.
Each day it was a 7-hour.
7 hours.
It took us 7 hours each day for the treatment to take place. That's where he had the first initial IVIG treatment. We were hoping and praying that one and done, that this was going to be the miracle. He's going to wake up one day, in the next couple of days, and everything's going to be fine. Well, unfortunately, with Cameron's case, that wasn't the case. It actually made things worse. At this point in time, I had already made friends. Her name was Becky Wallace. We got really close. Her son Max was diagnosed, in August. Cameron was diagnosed in September. And their symptoms were a lot alike. So we would stay up pretty much all night long trying to research, trying to figure out, where do we go? Who do we turn to? Cameron's first IVIG treatment didn't work. At this point, Max didn't even have an opportunity to have IVIG because nobody in Arkansas would take his case either, and they were trying to figure out where to take him. Max wound up taking his life on Christmas Eve, this past Christmas, from PANS. And the sad thing about this whole deal is his life could have been saved if we would have had more doctors and nurses willing to step up and help him here in Arkansas. But that wasn't an option. They turned their backs on him, and he didn't get the help that he actually needed. I kind of look at Max as the first line of defense in all this, because he opened a lot of doors through his death. He actually got more doctors to realize and acknowledge that it does exist. We had a doctor finally contact us and say, everything that's happening, we understand Cameron is critical. We just lost Max. What can we do to help your son? And, I flat told him, I said, he's got to have more IVIG treatments. This isn't working. We got to keep going. And Dr. Jana Jennings, she says, I'll take your case. I will help you. I'll order the IVIG. That very next week, we were already back up into the hospital at Saline Memorial in Benton, and she done the second initial IVIG treatment. With Cameron, his levels were so bad, it wound up taking a total of 3 IVIG treatments here in the state of Arkansas, plus the one in Illinois, in order for it to remap his total antibody problem that he has in his brain. There is no cure for PANS. There's no cure for Pandas. This is autoimmune encephalopathy. It's just something that you have to treat. And when symptoms creep back up, like to go into like knowing if we have to have more IVIG treatments, I don't know. It's time will tell. This is a time will tell kind of a disease. Irrational thoughts might creep back in. That's when we know Cameron's getting another infection. He could be getting strep throat, or he could be having a viral infection. If he gets any of those symptoms, we automatically start back antibiotics, antivirals, and that helps combat the symptoms that he's having. Being a mom of a child that has this disorder, this has become my full-time job. I want to raise awareness. I want to help people get their kids' lives back, because the journey that we were on, I honestly didn't think we would make it. I figured we would be planning a funeral before we would be planning to send our son to college. That's how dire Cameron's situation was. Cameron completely made a turnaround. I mean, to this day, he's 3 years late starting college, but he was able to start college this past year. He's a freshman at UCA. He's able to leave the house. He's loving it. He's living his life. And this is all thanks in part to Dr. Jennings, thanks to the Wallace family, which is Max's family, basically walking with us after Max died in order to help continue to get our son the help that he actually needed. It's been a miracle to see Cameron come as far as he has, because even Dr. K in Illinois, whenever we done the year follow-up, which is, just this past October, he said there's no way this kid's in college. Yes, there is. So there is hope.